Right, just getting ready then for our Super Saturday race here, the international tier, live at Imola. And it looks like we do have a full lobby, I believe. We did have 21 just a moment ago. I think a couple of them just left, so I think one of those two can race. So it is the Ferrari seat that is available at the moment. I know one of them was Tomo, but I'm not sure who the other one was. Let's see if I can get the stream name changed. Apparently I've been having difficulties with that lately. Right, hopefully that'll be I don't think it's changed it, but oh, it has on my phone, so it should be okay. But anyways, a few have readied up, and we do have 20 in the lobby. So it's short qualifying followed by 32 laps at Imola. A lot of straight line speed will be required for sure. I think we've got a mixture of different tiers as well, so some of them will only be in the international tier this season, whereas others, most of them are one of tiers 1, 2, 3 or 4. Be very keen to see who the front runners will be. I mean, I'll be aware of some of them from the flagship tiers already. But there's a few that I'm not too, who I haven't seen before. So Slimy, or at least haven't seen much of. So Slimy, Stickman, Dumbest Basket, Cole's 1997 as well. Haven't seen too much of those. Kelvin King. So probably a good 5 drivers who I haven't seen much of. But here we go, starting short quali for Imola. Just wait for it to all start up. Everybody have to get their right setups on as well. And I'll also go through the teams as well for you. Got the chat up on Twitch as well, so if anybody does want to chat on there, I will read it. But we just go and wait then for the qualifying session to start then. I think they'll be going through their tyre allocations at the moment, which I always feel like isn't really necessary because you don't get to change it. It would be a great screen if you could actually change your tyre allocations, but because you can't change it, it's not really effective in any way. Shouldn't be too long now until we start. There you go. And the 18 minutes has started counting down now, so let's get everything sorted out. Go TV pod, go best, go fastest lap. So wait and see. It just keep scrolling down to see when the first driver will come out. See one at the end coming out. I'm not sure. Is it a Red Bull maybe? Yeah, it's Shadow. So Shadow is the first out onto the track then. Anyone else coming out at the moment? There's a Haas, and it is Ray, who is followed by what looks like his teammate, Dumbest Basket. So there we go, Dumbest Basket and Ray both out onto the track, and Bucky also coming out, so we'll stay with Shadow then on his outlap. It's always dangerous in terms of you don't want to come out just as a car is starting their flying lap, really. So the sooner you get out onto the track the better, and also very much aware that the weather can be effective here, so I do recall actually having a couple of races, at least early on in the game, that once it does start to rain, it really does hit hard. I'm not sure if it will get any rain today. It is dynamic weather, so I would guess it would be dry, but if there is any rain at all, I've got to say Shadow's having a lot of struggles. Wow. Okay, we'll go to, I think there's a car, yeah, Kingburn having a few struggles as well in the Aston Martin. Nobody is starting their flying lap at the moment. The first will be Dumbest Basket in the Hash, just heading round the final couple of corners now. So I'm not sure if Shadow's setup is quite correct then. I mean, you can't make many changes at the moment because Parc Fermé is on. Anyways, Dumbest Basket, let's see how he is through turn 1 and then turn 2. Not bad at all. Again, another tricky part of the section. Let's see how Ray takes that part as well. Yeah, very nicely. So let's go back then with Dumbest Basket. Just having a little comparison between the two Haas drivers at the moment. And this part will be the quick, fast right-hander, double right-hander. That's where I personally pick up my warnings, so there you go. And into the chicane now. Nicely done. Let's see how Ray is through the chicane. He's actually invalidated his lap, so therefore we'll stay with Dumbest Basket for the rest of his lap. Now round the final corner. And the first time to be set here at Imola will be a 1:17.4. So we'll see. Bucky was also invalidated. I think that will be an Alfa Romeo. Let's see. Usain Bolt starting his lap. Red Bull goes fast as 16.4. Actually, I'm going to go with the McLaren of Hazer. And it goes quicker, 16.2. 2 tenths between Hazer and Red Bull at the moment. Let's see if I can go to Roland. Nope. Okay, so Mickey goes P3, 17.2. See, Lewis comes across the line and it's a 21.4. Zach P3, 16.9. Sargent coming across the line now, and it's an 18.6, goes P6. Let's see, Slimy, 122.3. Kingburn running wide. Have cost him time. I'm not sure at the moment. It's not looking great for Kingburn, I've got to admit. Let's see another Aston Martin, Mr. P, I think, coming through. 17.9, goes into the top 6. Coles into the top 7. Just watching Usain Bolt now. I think it's Ray just ahead of him. And Usain Bolt goes P4. Goes into the front 2 rows at the moment. So we'll just wait now and see. Shadow is on a flying lap. I'm not sure if the Alfa Romeo is. I don't think he is, so he's just ran wide. It'd be interesting to know which one that was. So it must have been Pro Beast, I think. Maybe not. Anyways, I think it was actually Pro Beast, but we'll go back with Shadow then. But he has invalidated, so Most drivers, I presume, will be heading into the pits. We'll just try keep watch. There is an improvement. Maybe, was it Sargent, possibly? Up to P8? Just wonder at this moment in time, does everyone have enough fuel to complete another lap? Just under 12 minutes of a session to go, and Ray now goes up into the top 7. But it looks like you may even need to break into the 15s to take pole position here. So we are back then with Bucky in the Williams. So I see the AlphaTauri, I think must have went off track there, but anyways, final couple of corners and off his first flying lap length for Bucky. And he's into the 17.5, goes into the top 10. Now Roland out onto the track in the Alpine. I do think he went out a bit earlier on, but he must have pitted pretty quickly, I think. As the majority of cars are in the pits or on an out lap now. See, Hayes is still out on track. I think, is it going to go into the pits? No. So Hayes is staying out in the McLaren, potentially just getting a few laps in for a bit of practice maybe. But now into sector 3 is Roland in the Alpine. I think he will look to push himself into the 17s, which looks like you will get yourself into the top 11 at the moment. See, is he in the 17s? Yeah, 17.5 into the top 10. His teammate Mickey in P6 as well, so solid session thus far for Alpine as Hazer spins in the McLaren. I'm pretty certain now he will opt for a pit stop and get on some fresh tyres. On board with King Burn at the moment. Let's see where the two Mercedes are also neck and neck with each other, so we'll stick with King Burn, whilst also I do note Red Bull has started a lap but it's invalidated, so therefore we will just stick with King Burn in the Aston Martin. His teammate Mr. P is in the top 5 at the moment. As you see, so the two Mercedes are closed on track and the two Haas drivers as well. Here we go then, let's see the time for King Burn. He comes through 17.7 into P12. What about the two Mercedes, Stickman and Kelvin? P17 and P18. I do wonder though if Kelvin was potentially held up by his Mercedes teammate there. And let's see, is Pro Beast? No. So Usain Bolt is P4 and will stay P4. Trying to spot any more improvements. No improvements for the Haas. Lewis has retired from a session. Dan picking up a 5-place penalty for colliding with him. Let's see now if I can switch to... Actually, it will be Sargent just coming through now. Not on a quick lap though. The Pro Beast goes into the top 12. What can Bucky do though in the Williams? Can he get high up? No, he cannot. Quite far off actually with that lap. Well, Coles, it's not Coles, it's Zach. And Zach does improve, but stays on a 16.5. Going track backline with the two Mercedes drivers. Stickman heads back into pits, as does Kelvin. Like Usain Bolt, is he going to improve his time? And he does, he goes for quicker, 16.2. And it is 24 thousandths of a second quicker than Hazer. So Hazer and Red Bull both in the pits. Zach is on track. Did improve his time. I do wonder if he's going to opt to go back into the pits though. And the two Hash drivers, P5 and P6, both on the third row at the moment for Dumbest Basket and Ray. And the top six are all in the 1 minute 16s at the moment. Then you've got Mr. P and Mickey on the fourth row. Mickey now moving up into the top 5. And Bucky also getting himself into P6, so the Haas drivers dropping down to the fourth row now. Are there going to be more improvements? Not one there, and Coles is not the one on track, so we'll actually stick with Mr. P. Zach staying out onto the track. All that Red Bull, I think is it maybe Dan came across the line, didn't improve though. Let's see if I can quickly get to the Alfa Romeo, and it will be Usain Bolt actually, but he hasn't validated, so never mind on that one. So Dumbest Basket losing time. What about his teammate Ray? Invalidated. So Mr. P now starting his flying lap. Just trying to spot any other drivers. Red Bull is on a flying lap. No, he is not with that time at least. Just a warm-up lap. Less than 5 minutes of the session remaining then. Does anybody look like they are potentially improving? Doesn't look like many are at the moment. Certainly not Bucky running wide through the final corner. Mr. P losing 0.03 of a second through the sector 1 split. Let's see now through the chicane as well. Mr. P, can he gain more time into sector 3? Just nicely using up as much of the track as possible. And now heads in with a 16.9, does go into the 16s. Just about, and goes into P9. I think he stays P9 in fact. So it did improve his time, but doesn't improve his good position. But King Burn gaining 0.3 and into sector 3. Red Bull goes quickest, 15.8. And at the moment he is 4.5 tenths up on Usain Bolt and Hazer. Trying to watch if there's any more improvements, but King Burn now around the final corner. Surely will improve. And he does into the top 11, 17.1. Not quite into the 16s yet. No beast round the final corner as well. Not improving. Now Dan also not improving. What about, I see Stickman is gaining 6 tenths up. So Stickman maybe one to watch here through sector 3. Might be into the 8, no, it's a 19 flat. He does improve quite nicely, but only P18 to the two Mercedes, both in the bottom 3 at the moment. Slimy currently into sector 2, I think. At least we see that the Aston Martin is not on a flying lap. Just want to see how long's left in the session so I can just spot if you can get into the pit and then come back out. So both Red Bull and Shadow making pit stops. 2 minutes remaining, so if you're going to pit, you have to pit now and hope for the very best that you can get out onto a lap. So back with Pro Beast then. And there will be no improvement, 19.3. 1.5 seconds over his previous time, so got me down to P14. We've got Roland around the final corner, also not improving, so this will be his flying lap. And you've got Kingburn into the pits now, so he will not improve on a 17.1. And Mr. P not out on track, he will not improve. Shadow will not improve. And Red Bull will also not improve on his 15.8. So Usain Bolt starting his flying lap now then. Oh, let's just try and see then if the AlphaTauri is Slimy gaining on his time, 1.1 seconds. In the AlphaTauri, let's see what time he can set. Can he improve on P20? No. He is currently about a second adrift of Kelvin. Let's see the Ferrari. Is it Zach? It is Zach. And it's a 16.2. And 2 thousandths behind Hazer for P3. And it is now Hazer coming round the final corner as I see a Haas struggling just there. And I think... Let's see Hazer, can he get any quicker? No, 33.4, but this will be his flying lap here. Most cars now are finishing the laps off. Ray is P9, 16.8. So the checkered flag is out then for qualifying. Let's see if I can spot anyone. Dan is done. A few drivers are coming across the line. Roland heading into the pits. Let's see the 2 Mercedes. What about Kelvin not improving? Slimy not improving at all. Is it just down to these 2? What about Mickey? Where is he at the moment? Into the chicane. Didn't quite spot his sector 2 split, however. So therefore I will now go with Zach. Round the final corner. Is there an improvement for Zach? No. Heading into the pits. So we're on board and with Mickey also. Nope, he's not heading into the pits. Oh, he is. A late move. Hazer currently P3. Is there a potential pole position on the cards? And it is pole position for Hazer. 17.5. And he goes about half a tenth ahead of Red Bull. Epic drive then by the McLaren to take pole position here at Imola. Red Bull P2, that is your front row. Then it is Usain Bolt and Zach on the second row. The third row will be Ray and Mickey. Bucky, Shadow, Dumbest Basket and Mr. P all in the top 10. But there you go. And it is Hazer pipping Red Bull to take pole position here at Imola. And those are your times then. So there you go. Hazer in the McLaren, followed by the Williams of Red Bull. Those are your top 2. Both in the 15s. 16.1 for Usain Bolt, P3 for the Alfa Romeo, followed by Zach in the Ferrari, 16.2. Half a second adrift of Hazer. 6 tenths down to Ray and Mickey. Those are on the third row for the Haas and the Alpine. Then we have Bucky in the second Williams, P7 for him, just ahead of Shadow in the Red Bull, and also Dumbest Basket very close behind in P9. 2 Aston Martins and the Mr. P, P10, Kingburn, P11. Then they've got a gap back to Coles, Roland, Sargent, Pro Beast, Lewis, Dan, Stickman, Kelvin, and Slimy at the back. I think, though, was it Dan who picked up the 5 second, oh no, the 5 place penalty. I think that's a bug saying the session will start in 0 seconds. Let's hope it is. Let's truly hope that the formation lap is not starting now, because we would like a 5 minute break for everyone to choose their tyres. So I am just going to bring up Len, the race director. First time doesn't seem to work ever, so second time lucky. At the moment everybody is on the medium compound tyres, and it is in fact Dan starting from the back in the Red Bull. Do wonder if anything will come off that in after the race at least. Must have been some contact between him and Lewis, I'm presuming. Because I think it was Lewis who retired, and then Dan immediately picked up the 5 place penalty. Hazer then on hards, Rodan on softs. And Ray moves on to hard tyres at the moment as well. So, do you play a long game, hope for potentially a late safety car maybe? Go onto the soft tyres, or do you start on softs, maybe end on mediums or hards, and then, you know, so the good split strategies I think will be seen here, I'm hopeful. Sargent on hards as well. So 3 of the top 5 currently on the hard compound tyres. Shadow will obviously move from the mediums, he always does that, so there you go. I just got the stream chat back up if anybody does want to chat in there. And also King Burn on soft tyres too. Dan at the back on hard tyres. See anybody else wanting to go on those soft tyres for the start? I think obviously they'll start off strongly as opposed to the medium and the hard tyre runners, and then you really want lap 3 to come as quickly as possible, or basically lap 4, so you can get DRS. That'll be when it's most effective. At times it does seem like, not a waste of time, but like a waste of a tyre using the softs at the start. Especially when you can't get DRS on the soft tyres until effectively lap 4. But you do gain, or should gain, a few places at least from the start. So still 3 of the top 5 sticking with hard tyres for now. Red Bull and Usain Bolt are 2 outliers on that. Certainly a lot of change from P11 downwards, a couple of soft runners, a few hard runners, and you've got 5 medium tyre runners as well. But as I would expect, most likely to start on the mediums, I'm presuming. Although actually 1, 2, 3, so you've got 6 currently on hards, but anyways, let's see. Presumably there will be late changes. Yeah, good luck tonight, Bucky, mate. Let's see if you'll change from the mediums actually. I think, let's see, Shadow opted for hard tyres. Yes, he has. See? Every time. Every time. See, I say every time, he's definitely going to watch the next one and be like, yep, I'm going to stick with the same tyres then. But anyways, get everything back for what will be the formation lap, so I wasn't quite certain with it. But anyways, so there are your tyres. So it's Hazer on the hard tyres from the lead of the race, and you've got Red Bull and Usain Bolt both on mediums. Zach and Ray, 4th and 5th, both on the hard tyres as well. You've got ARC, Mickey and Bucky, both on mediums, P6 and P7. Shadow P8 on the hard tyres. Dumbest Basket and Mr. P, both on the 5th row, will be on the medium tyres. Then there's King Burn right behind on the soft, so the two Aston Martins, P10 and P11, will there be team orders there. Cole's in the Ferrari, is on the mediums, then you've got another set of softs for Roland, P13. Sergeant and Pro Beast, P14 and P15, both on the hard tyres. Then you've got mediums from P16 through to P19, which are the two AlphaTauris and the two Mercedes drivers. And lastly, the hard tyres for Dan at the back of the grid. So Hazer and Red Bull both on split strategies for the top two. I think I'll go on board then for the start with Usain Bolt being on the medium tyres and having the top two right ahead of him. Just going to get a quick drink before the start of the race then. Right, let's see then when the final car will come through, and it is Dan in the Red Bull. So in terms of teams starting positions, it looked like the Williams both in the top 7 for the start. Well, speaking of Williams, Red Bull disqualified, Hazer disqualified, Dumbest Basket and Coles also disqualified. Both the top 2 could be advantage to Usain Bolt. 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And we're underway. Not quite yet. Bit of a glitch. Now we're underway. And Usain Bolt, and it is a good start ahead from Red Bull. Takes the lead from Hazer. Hazer with the inside line. Red Bull on the outside. McLaren v Williams, and the two legendary teams collide. And it is a dropping down for Hazer. Red Bull gets a little bit out of touch. And it is Usain Bolt who takes the lead of the race then. And it is it just a virtual safety car? I do not see the yellow dot. So it is a virtual safety car. Usain Bolt has the lead from Red Bull. It did look like Usain Bolt just took the lead just before it was all out yellows. So Pro Beast also out of the race then. Didn't make it into turn 1, as you see. His stricken Alfa Romeo couldn't reach turn 1. Very interesting. I'd like to know what happened there. But anyway, so Usain Bolt taking advantage of Red Bull, a little bit slippery, and just losing the lead of the race. But then you've got Ray on the hard tyres. Let's now go and check everyone's gains. Position changes, there you go. So it is Bolt up 2 places, followed by Red Bull, Ray up 2, Bucky up 3, Zach dropping the 1 place, Mickey holding position, then King Burn up 4 places on his soft tyres. Oh, Zach spun under the virtual safety car. And now we are underway. And look at this, Ray and Red Bull both pushing, both battling with Usain Bolt, a gap behind to Bucky. And it looks like no contact. Red Bull right on the back of Usain Bolt then. Medium tyre runners. I think they are both on the mediums. Indeed they are. Ray on the hard tyres, but still right behind them. Bucky now catching up in the second Williams. Later braking for Red Bull. Will get their tyres back up then. It does look like Shadow and Roland may be battling as well, so let's see. Roland did not quite make it on Mr. P as Red Bull takes a wider line, may lose some ground. These three certainly in line, as is Bucky. Mickey losing out a little bit, has the soft tyre runner of King Burn behind, P6. But it looks like it's closer here in the midfield. What about Hazer taking Dan into the top 15? Let's see it on to starting straight then. Usain Bolt leading in the Alfa Romeo. His teammate out of the race, however. There's a 120 flat for the fast lap. Red Bull P2. Then Ray just dropping a little bit back, maybe under threat from Bucky. Indeed he was. Bucky taking a different line. And now let's see, can Bucky take position here? I don't think he'll have the straight line speed, not quite yet. It's always difficult finding the overtaking opportunities here at Imola, especially if you can't do it through turn 1. There certainly are a few places, but there's a lot of small straight lines in terms of you can't quite make up the ground. So check back then with Red Bull. It looks like he went a little bit off track again. And Mr. P takes the position off Dumbest Basket, also under threat then from Roland, who is now up into the top 8. So Dumbest Basket losing the 2 spots to Mr. P and Roland. Mr. P behind his teammate as he looks to just have a little spin out, and then Roland takes P7 as well on the soft tyres, and Mr. P under threat from Dumbest Basket doesn't take the position though, and Mr. P holds firm in P8, while Bucky all over the back of Ray for P3, and Bucky comfortably round the outside and takes position, and now has Usain Bolt and Red Bull in his sights. The top 3 all on the mediums. Ray also having trouble with Mickey behind, but Ray keeping challenge with Bucky in fact. So how close can the Haas run the Williams? Both Williams in the top 3. You've got Mickey in the Alpine now, very close to the hard tyre runner of Ray. Looks like Mr. P closing up on Roland now, a few tenths behind. A couple of closer battles behind, potentially with Zach. Battling with Lewis. Red Bull now picks up a penalty in Zach. Just about keeps it onto the track, loses time as Dumbest Basket cuts the corner, does not get a penalty. Coles though should be in a position where he can potentially take the position, but is he going to be able to do it? I don't think he will, so we'll go back and with, I think Roland, no, we'll actually check with Red Bull. He does have the penalty, but all over the back of Usain Bolt, taking the position round the outside with DRS and leads the race for the Williams. It is a 1-3 currently for the legendary iconic team, but it is Alfa Romeo of Usain Bolt right behind, still pushing to try and take the lead. He cannot do it here, however. Gaps between Bolt and Bucky, and then back to Mickey as well. Ray still there, but lost the place to ARC Mickey, and now P5, but does have a solid gap back to King Burn with Mr. P on the medium tyres, right behind his Aston Martin teammate. At this moment, will King Burn consider a potential pit stop or allow his teammate through? Could play a longer game, allowing Mr. P through and then try and keep drivers behind. such as you've got Shadow on the hard tyres, so it might not be easy for Shadow at this moment of time. And it would surely be beneficial to the team if Mr. P can overtake Kingburn. As now Kingburn does pick up a penalty for his troubles as well. Usain Bolt not close enough behind. And Shadow is slightly closer to Mr. P than what Mr. P is to Kingburn. And it doesn't look like Kingburn will yield, so he certainly doesn't at the moment. So it is Kingburn P6 from Mr. P from Shadow. Oh, and Kingburn does yield, and he may lose the place to Shadow as well. He doesn't quite, very close, wheel to wheel, but Kingburn comes out on top. And that puts Shadow under pressure from Roland on the inside. And no contact between the pairing, so Shadow just holds on to P8 behind both Aston Martins, but Mr. P is through and can chase down the leading 5 as Red Bull has taken a spin and he is dropping from the lead down to P5. And he may now, let's see how far away is Mr. P. He is far enough, so Red Bull losing the places, but still in the top 5 at least for himself. Now you've got Dumbest Basket, Zach, Coles all in this battle, and it looks like Zach round the outside, now into the inside. And there's contact between the pair. Oh, contact, definitely contact. Let's see now, I see Hayes making places up into the top 9 as well in the McLaren. Presuming there will be pit stops, so Kingburn in the pits. Let's see, Coles picks up a 5-second penalty heading into the pits as well. Anybody else making a dart into the pits? Roland in the pits as well. Is it just a 3? I think it is at the moment. Just the 3 drivers heading into the pits for now. Surely onto the hard tyres. It's just a matter of whether the hard tyres can make it all the way to the end of the race. As there's also been something has happened to Dumbest Basket in the Haas. And now he is in P16 with Kingburn behind him. So there's a good gap now for Usain Bolt back to Bucky. Dumbest Basket also losing the place to Kingburn. But then you've got Mickey, who is in a reasonable position and will have DRS on Bucky now. Well within the 1 second window. But neither of them have a good amount of DRS remaining, both very low in the single figures, which will only help Mickey. And will he make a move? No, he doesn't, down into turn 1. Usain Bolt has over 40% of ERS left, so even if Bucky and Mickey do catch up, which Mickey may make a dart, and he does make a move, and he takes P2 in the Alpine ahead of Bucky in the Williams. Just as he thought Williams were going to possibly take a 1-2, they've dropped down to 3rd and 5th respectively. Ray and the Haas splitting the pairing at the moment, but he is 4 seconds behind Bucky now on the hard tyres. Red Bull catching him for sure. Zach makes the dart and pushing with Sargent. Ferrari v McLaren, and it looks like Zach with the greater traction, maybe the straightest line speed as well, but Sargent is there, and Sargent does actually take P10. And Zach, does he only lose that 1 place, or does he lose out? He does lose out to Dan as well. Hopefully just a 1 place lost. And Shadow now dropping down to P10. And also Ray, P8, dropping down the order as well. Let's see then, so Usain Bolt opting for pit stop. There is a safety car, by the way, and full course safety car, everyone heading into the pits. Usain Bolt, Mickey, Bucky, Red Bull, Mr. P also, Hazer, staying out on to the hard tyres. Lewis opting for pit stop. I think everyone will go for the hard tyres at this moment in time. Although Ray, for instance, is starting on the hard tyres, so will he go for maybe softs or mediums and needs to make a late pit stop as well? Let's see, so Dan opting to stay out on track, but losing places still to those who did opt to pit. So Hayes, Sargent and Shadow, the two McLarens and the Red Bull in the top 3, but they have still got to pit again. And you've got Usain Bolt, Mickey and Bucky all have pitted. P4 down to P6, Dan not pitted in P7. And Red Bull, unfortunately for him, does have a car between himself and Bucky ahead. Kelvin on the mediums, P9, still yet to pit. And you've got Mr. P and Lewis both pitted in 10th and 11th. They opted to pit for the soft tyres, as did Zach. So they are P13 and P16. Still just the one retirement though from the race. I'm a little bit surprised it is a full course safety car. Presumably the contact was just, I said the contact, I mean the losing front wing must have been a bit too much for the game to deem it just a virtual safety car. I would have thought a virtual safety car would have been okay, but it is just a full course, so couple of soft tyre runners and then one medium tyre runner still yet to pit is Kelvin. Just got to wait then for the final few drivers to catch back up. So the next two will be Stickman and Zach. On the very different strategies at the moment. Stickman on the hards, likely to go to the end, presuming there isn't another safety car, and then Zach on the soft tyres. He will of course have to pit again, as Kingburn and Ray trading positions it seems, and Red Bull is spun again, losing places down to P12. And maybe costing Red Bull for sure. A couple of moments he's had in this race already. Now we've got Slimy catching up now in the AlphaTauri. Down in P17, Dumbest Basket P18 also catching up, and then Cole's the last of the remaining drivers in the Ferrari. And penalties are incoming. So a lot of penalties for drivers at the back end of the grid at the moment. Only 3 from those down from P10 to P19 have not picked up a penalty so far. Just check, is it on detail? It is. So 8 seconds for Ray in P13. As we are about to go underway, so I'm actually going to skip off that, go back to the tyres. Is the two McLarens, but we are going to go on board and with Shadow as the two McLarens bolting away. Is anybody close enough? Mickey is close to Usain Bolt. Using up his ERS, as is Usain Bolt as well. So will Mickey make a move into turn 1? He does not. Looks like Zach has picked up a place though on Stickman, both well behind. Do wonder if there was some form of safety car glitch there, but really close here, and these drivers, Mr. P taking a position of Kelvin. Oh, and Lewis running wide. Kingburn out of the race. Would it be another safety car? I don't think so at the moment. And there's a lot of battling going here in the midfield. Oh, and just a bit of contact there, but Zach holding P11 from Ray. Roland, Red Bull, doesn't really want to be in this fight. He'll feel he should be higher up, but there's a couple of mistakes. I put him in this fight, and now he's ran wide as well. And again, definitely struggling to stay on track. Loses the place of Dumbest Basket. And Stickman likewise, P15 now. Red Bull dropping down the order in the Williams, struggling on the hard tyres to get them heated up. Now let's see Shadow all over the back of Sargent, who is already dropped 4 seconds to his teammate. So it is certainly an advantage to Hazer at this moment in time. Shadow needs to take the move on Sargent. But without the use of DRS, currently I think we've got, is it next lap it starts, and then you can use it officially in 2 laps time. Because we only have the 1 DRS zone here at Imola. Mickey also closed up on this battle, but Shadow, I mean the fact that Hazer's running away already, coming up now almost 5 seconds to Sargent. As Zach takes the place of Kelvin now into the top 9. I see a few pit stops going on in the back. Lewis, Red Bull and Ray all pitting, and all are about just over half a lap down. Still very close. Sargent, Shadow, Mickey and Bucky. Yellow flags at the back for Ray. Thomas Barskill's picking up a penalty. And it looks like Mickey is closer to Shadow, I think, out of all these drivers. Still no DRS on the line, and Mickey is not using up his DRS, neither is Bucky. Shadow is, and Shadow down the inside into turn 1 will take the place of Sargent into the top 2. 6 seconds behind Hazer. Can he close the gap now? Both on the hard tyres. So yellow flags up ahead. Haas, I think, of Ray. It is definitely Ray, yes. But anyways, we'll go back then. What about Dan with... Oh, is it a... It is a full course safety car. Again, another full course safety car. Now let's see. Kingburn out of the race as his Pro Beast. And now let's see the pit stops raining in. Will Hazer and Shadow make moves onto medium tyres potentially? Will the mediums get you through to the end of the race? They possibly will. They will be struggling at the end, but I do think the mediums can get you to the end. Let's see then. Hazer does opt to pit, and I'm presuming Shadow will follow him in. Indeed he does. They're retiring from a session then, so let's see now. Mickey into the lead of the race in the Alpine, followed by Bucky, Usain Bolt, and then Mr. P up into the top 4 in the Aston Martin. Still penalties are just coming through. Let's see, Damas Basket into the top 5 from Stickman. Then it's Hazy, comes out behind Coles. He is in P8. So he still has to make moves on 7 drivers ahead if he wants to win this race at the moment. And sadly for Shadow, he also has a car separating himself and Hazer, which is Slimy in the AlphaTauri. Dan on the soft tyres, P11, will have to pit again. But if you are on new hard tyres, you should be able to get through to the end of the race. Medium tyres at this moment in time will be struggling a lot at the end. And then soft tyres will be a guaranteed pit stop again. So just wondering on what Dan's strategy is at the moment. So here's 2 Red Bulls, P10 and P11. I don't envision Shadow will let Dan through though. Dan of course on the soft tyres, his teammate on the mediums. Perhaps Shadow will feel he can still possibly a battle for a podium position at least. He's got to get through quite a few drivers if he wants to do that. Maybe it requires another safety car late in the race to get onto the soft tyres. So now we'll have hopefully just one more lap under the safety car. So Roland is next to catch up. Do think that safety car helped the race be a bit more intriguing though, with Hazer having that 6-second advantage to Shadow before it. Certainly think it's helped the race out for sure. So Roland now just catching up, and then you got the two at the back. You got Lewis and Red Bull. Little bit surprised Red Bull staying out on the medium tyres. Could have effectively had a free pit stop, but may be wary. If he doesn't catch up this lap, the safety car still may come into the pit. So possibly a good decision made then by Red Bull. Let's see if the safety car does indeed go in this lap. It wouldn't surprise me if it does. Just flicking through all the drivers at the moment then. As we're still awaiting then Lewis catching up, and Red Bull has lost it, so he is out of the race. And does that mean safety car will be in this lap, or are we going to have another lap under the safety car? It looks like we're going to have another lap, so 15 laps in, and this is an opportunity. Oh no, safety car is in this lap. A very late call indeed, which doesn't give Mickey a lot to play for. I'm a bit shocked by that, but Mickey actually does get a good getaway from Bucky. Bolt right behind. And moves are being made already, and it looks like Hazer is one of those. And what about a move ahead? And not quite, no moves ahead. Our moves here with Stickman just onto the curb and just losing a place or two there, as is Thomas Basket, who is dropping all the way to the back now. We'll go back then at the front, maybe, no. Looks like Lewis and Kelvin both dropping back then, so we'll go back with Bucky in the Williams against the Alpine of Mickey for the lead of the race. With Usain Bolt P3, Mr. P in P4, Hazer already up into P5 on the medium tyres. Flying start from him as a Shadow up into P6. So the two medium tyre runners of Hazer and Shadow making good gains already. So you've got Coles, Slimy and Zach. Dan Roland is now all over Dan and looks set for a move into P11. In fact he is. Zach very close as well. All over the back of Slimy, looks to move into the top 9. There's a pit stop made by Coles in a Ferrari. Possibly lost his front wing, or just needs to change his tyres maybe. He was on the hards. He's now going on to used mediums, which will be screaming at the end of the race. So let's see now, let's go with Usain Bolt then, and there is a AlphaTauri of Slimy dropping down behind his teammate to P15. That's Bucky losing touch of Mickey, and it's now coming up to around 1 second, bridging the two leaders at the moment. And Usain Bolt picking up a 3-second penalty. He is the only one in the top 6 with a penalty, so that may be costly come the end of the race for him. Oh, and that will be costly come the end of the race, I'm sure. And that allows Mr. P, Hazer and Shadow to come through. Sargent, who is now being passed by Zach. Although that must have been an illegal overtake. So Zach losing the place now to P7 would have lost a lot of time to the cars ahead. And now DRS enabled, not this lap effectively though, because you still have to come round this whole lap. But Hazer is pushing into turn 1 and not making a move on Mr. P. So this is the battle for P3, as they still have Mickey and Bucky leading the race 1.2 seconds between a pairing. And not just Hater all over the back of Mr. P, you've also got Shadow right there as well. And Zach with the overtake on Sargent, meanwhile, it's now needing to close the gap 4 seconds back to the top 5. Certainly this battle was the key one, and there you go, Mr. P losing the place to Hazer, losing the place to Shadow. Contact made between the pair. Oh, contact made again, and Mr. P has gone, Shadow has gone, Hazer P3 though, and that should enable Zach to pass them both into the top 4. Got Sargent into the top 6, so both McLarens now into the top 6, but he does have Roland all over the back of him in the Alpine. And now can Hazer close up onto the top 2 on the better medium tyres as well. Cole's picking up a penalty. And then with the aid of DRS, is he able to make the pass on the McLaren? Not yet. But Usain Bolt not close enough yet to Shadow either. Shadow dropping down to P9. Two Mercedes, P12, P13, Cole's at the back of the field. So still awaiting something then. Lap 19 now. About a second between Mickey and Bucky, was just closed up by a couple of tenths. And is now in fact within DRS range, within the 1 second window. As Kelvin King picks up a penalty, and now can Bucky stay within a second? It looks like he will, so he will have DRS this lap. And Hazer also within DRS range of Bucky, so it's these 3 all within 1 second of each other, and now we'll all have DRS on each other. How much can they close up to Mickey ahead then? Not too much according to the timings at the moment. Maybe a couple of tenths for Bucky and also for Hazer. Just wondering on their ERS at the moment. None of them have particularly good amounts of ERS remaining. Hazer just slightly more, 16%. The others just about above 10%. That Mickey was just using up a little bit of VRS through that part of the track, so we've got Zach as well, who is about 6 seconds adrift the top 3. Do wonder if he made 1 or 2 mistakes in the past couple of laps as well. And there's yellow flags for the AlphaTauri of Slimy, who may lose the place also to Cole's ahead, and he will. So Cole's into the top 15 for the Ferrari then. And Hazer all over the back of Bucky, was dropped out of the 1 second window now. So will not have DRS, and it is DRS for Hazer in the McLaren as Bucky moves out of the way effectively, and Hazer's passing him into P2. And this is looking like a strong race for Hazer. Certainly the favourite right now for the race. Hazer will look to make a move on Mickey in the next lap or 2. Just see as well. Oh, someone's gone off, and it is Roland's gone. I did see a pass being made at the back, which was why I was just dropping back. I think it was Usain Bolt making the move on Dan up into the top 9. Go back to Bucky staying within the 1 second window of Hazer at the moment. He just needs to stay in that and hopes that Hazer does pass Mickey. Quite similar to what they were about 3 or 4 laps ago, when they were all just started to have DRS on each other. More yellow flags at the back, and it's Coles who was out of the race. A stricken Ferrari is out. And will there be a safety car? Doesn't look like it again. Hazer now is within 6 tenths of Mickey, and will have DRS. Let's see how much can he close up the McLaren. Bucky not having DRS, so it is all up to Hazer. Oh, look at that straight line speed, round the outside, into turn 1, has to leave the track, loses ground on Mickey. They were both side by side, no contact was made. But Hayes are losing a lot of time, and Bucky all over the back now of the McLaren ahead. Oh, it's another retirement, and it's Roland. Let's see where Slimy is. I think, was it into the pits, it looks like. Yeah, so he retired in the pit lane. I was just wondering if it was anywhere near the entrance of the pit lane, but it wasn't. So it's Mickey from Hayes from Bucky. Meanwhile, Zach has started to close the gap slightly on the medium tyres, now within 3.5 seconds. But we will switch then to Hazer, who looks like he's too far behind. He certainly is. Does have DRS though, but as does Bucky in Williams. We do wonder. Must be still thinking about a potential victory. And none of the trio are close enough to each other. Zach still closing the gap meanwhile. 3 seconds now in the Ferrari. Mr. P dropping back on the hard tyres. And you've got Sargent. How long can he keep Shadow at bay for? Mr. P though is not going to stay P6 for long. And he's out in the Aston Martin then. And it is a full course safety car, which spices up the race once more. 23 laps into the race. And now, surely, drivers will start thinking about the soft tyres. Or at the very least, the medium tyres. But I do imagine everybody's used a set of the medium tyres by now. But let's see, will everybody... Surely, if you're on the hard tyres, you have to make a pit stop onto the softs, I think. Because those hards will be a sitting duck to the soft tyre runners. So Mickey surely will opt for the pit stop. Surely will opt for the pit stop when he does. I thought he was going to stay out for a moment. Hazer pitting. And Sargent speeding under the safety car. Picks up a drive-through penalty. And it does look like everybody is pitting. No, Sargent not pitting in the McLaren. With that, staying out onto the medium tyres will take the lead. However, and also it's Usain Bolt staying out as well in the Alfa Romeo. So at the moment the top two both staying out on track. Mickey is now out and he's only P3. So only 2 drivers to take advantage of. So Slimy all the way at the back, but now has an opportunity to get himself back into the race with a set of soft tyres. Hopefully everyone did have a spare set of soft tyres available for the race, because this is where you want a spare set. Especially with how long's left in the race. To go all the way on the soft tyres, which will struggle at the end of the race. I mean, potentially Sargent on the mediums, not... actually. I was going to say not too bad, but 10 laps on the mediums won't be beneficial. Maybe Dan on the mediums, not too bad. But I don't see why Dan wouldn't pit to go onto soft tyres. There's only 13 runners, you're only going to lose 1, maybe 2 places. Surely the soft tyres for Dan, which will be fresher than everyone else's softs, is the way to go, right? Unless the safety car opts to go in this lap, I don't think it will. Personally, if I'm Dan, I'm pitting onto the soft tyres now. Knowing that you will only lose 1, maybe 2 places, but you'll be on better tyres than P13. And he is staying out onto his medium tyres. But I will say though, his medium tyres won't be bad. They're only 2 now 3 laps old. So it's not like he's going to be really struggling at the end of the race. In fact, his mediums will probably be better than the soft tyre runners come the end of the race. What about Slimy? Will he opt to stay out on his medium tyres? That will get him 8 more laps, so we've got to go 17 or 18 laps on those medium tyres, which will be struggling come the end of the race. He does opt to stay out low, probably fearing that if he did opt to make the pit stop, he wouldn't be allowed to catch back up to the back of the safety car. So now we're just going to see, can Slimy catch back up then? So I'm thinking at the moment, I still would suggest that Hazer will be the favourite for the win, but Mickey on the soft tyres as well, of course, is now ahead. The top 2 do have penalties, so even if they are somehow able to hold position, they will surely drop back due to the penalty system. Just have a little look at it at the moment. Some detail. Oh, so Sargent has drive through, which he has to take once the safety car comes into the pits. Which is it going to be this lap? See, I'm not. If it is this lap, I'm not personally a big fan of this. And it's not this lap. Okay, that's fine. I don't mind that. That's okay as long as it doesn't go in. But because of how late it made the call last time around, I genuinely thought it may have decided to make a late call this time. It's just a lot more exciting once the safety car has made a decision to come into the pits, you know, 3/4 of the lap in. So then you've got that quarter of a lap to prepare to go racing instead of just, you know, a few seconds effectively. So now Slimy has caught up. So all 13 drivers are in position then. So Sargent in the McLaren, Usain Bolt in the Alfa Romeo, Mickey in the Alpine, Hazer also in the second McLaren. So it looks strong for the McLaren team. Bucky P5 in the Williams. It was looking amazing for Williams early in the race when Red Bull and Bucky were both battling for potential wins, and now they've just dropped back with Red Bull retiring and Bucky only P5 but is on the soft tyres of course. Lewis well up now in P6 but is on 16 lap old hard tyres. Surely going to be struggling. Zach directly behind P7. Safety car is in this lap. That is Lewis on the AlphaTauri, Zach in the Ferrari, then Kelvin in the Mercedes, Shadow with Red Bull, Dumbest Basket in the AlphaTauri, so in the Haas, and then you got Dan in the Red Bull, Stickman in the Mercedes, and Slimy is in the AlphaTauri. So now let's see, when will Sargent make a Dartford? We'll go on board with Mickey. It's unfortunate for Usain Bolt. He must have been a race contender for the victory, but now, oh, and Sargent, that's what? So Sargent now, that's messed up a little bit from that. I think Sargent was just trying to get out of the way, but I don't think he quite realised as Hazer all over the back of him and doesn't make the move. I think Sargent just wanted to get out of the way but didn't realise he had to cross the line first. I don't mind him wanting to get out of the way, but he just needs to do it once he's passed that line. I'm pretty sure that's what he was trying to do. Anyways, Bucky now into the top 2. Mickey dropping places now, but should surely take hold of P3 from Sargent. So it will be the top 3 in a way as you were, apart from Red Bull. Usain Bolt though is out of the race. Let's see if we can spot him, and we will spot him in fact. But Hazer from Bucky, and now Mickey does take Sargent, and that is now your top 3. And there is another full course safety car, which is possibly the worst thing for Sargent, because he really did need to pit as soon as possible. But now the full course safety car, and will anybody make a decision to go onto a set of soft tyres, like another set of soft tyres? Let's see, Hazer. I'm unsure if he meant that or not. If he did mean that, that could effectively have been some form of penalty. I'm not certain on that. So Lewis stays out on the hard tyres. Well, there will only be, what, you imagine, maybe 2 laps under green flag racing, maybe 3 laps at a push. He is in the top 5, he does have Shadow right behind him, but there are 3 at the back, Sargent, Slimy and Dumbest Basket all pitting for soft tyres. And with that in mind as well, we've still got Sargent, who needs to take his drive-through penalty, which will effectively cost him, you think, and will drop surely him down into P12. But it's still decent points though on the cards for McLaren, if Hazer is able to hold on to the victory. So all the 12 drivers on the softs except for Lewis P5 on 18 lap old hard tyres. Dan in P7 6 lap old medium tyres, and Kelvin P9 15 lap old hard tyres. And at the bottom 3, Sargent, Slimy and Dumbest Basket all on fresh soft tyres. Everyone else's softs have ran for 4 laps. Hazer, Bucky, Mickey, Zach, Shadow and Stickman. Slimy picks up a 3-second penalty as the safety car stays out for 1 more lap. Hopefully will come in this lap. And still again, no more pit stops being made at the moment. So is there a potential shock that Hazer won't take the victory then? To be fair, Bucky and Mickey have had good race pace throughout, that's for sure. And Zach as well, making gains to take himself up into the top 4. Let's see in detail will show us the position changes. So Lewis has gained 11 places, Dan up 13. And because it is the first race of the official season, we will be doing a driver of the day vote at the end as well. And right now it will be between, well, I think Hazer will be up there. I think Bucky, Mickey, Lewis, Dan will be potential candidates, but we'll see come the end of the race. Let's see. Back onto the tyres. And actually, just before the safety car is in, penalties. So still a drive through for Sargent, 6 seconds for Kelvin and Dumbest Basket, and 3 seconds for Shadow and Slimy. Which will be most costly for Shadow, I think. But anyways, we're back underway then. So it's Hazer, from Bucky, from Mickey, and Zach all on the soft tyres. Lewis losing out a considerable amount, and Shadow now will need to make gains. But Zach all over the back of Mickey. Stick with these guys at the moment, and Sargent makes his drive-through penalty now. And sadly for him, it's come at the worst time, because I don't think he'll be able to catch back up to the rest. Shadow did take the place of Lewis, so now in the top 5, but 2 seconds adrift. Can he catch up? He needs to take another 3 seconds out of them as well, which he could potentially do if Lewis is able to hold up the drivers behind, which might be possible because there will not be, I don't think there will be a single lap with DRS in the race as Kelvin drops 2 places to Slimy and Dumbest Basket. Those hard tyres very much struggling. Lewis will be struggling even more. But now Hazer taking over 1 second from Bucky and also taking the quickest lap of the race. So now it's all up to Bucky P2, Mickey P3 and Zach P4. Can Shadow close up as well? I don't think, even if he did close up, I don't think he would take any places due to the fact he does still have that penalty. But he is looking to gain, and he is gaining over. He will make over 3 seconds on the cars behind, so shouldn't have to worry too much about that. Speaking of worrying, I think Zach had a bit of a worry there, but he is now dropping back to 1 second behind the two, so Mickey is in the best position right now to make gains. Dumbest Basket takes the place of Slimy up into the top 9. So Dumbest Basket taking both Slimy and Kelvin in the past lap or so. Still waiting, can Mickey make a possible overtake? The Alpine, very strong race pace, that is certain to say. Looks like Shadow very close in now on Zach. Shadow being very quick as well and proving his worth, as he has closed up on Zach, who has made 1 or 2 mistakes in the past lap as well. So looks like Zach may be out of the running now for a podium position, possibly likewise I think with Shadow with that penalty as well. So surely the top 3 will be as they are with the final lap of the race. Hazer has a 1.5 second gap to Bucky. Mickey still within a second, but surely won't be able to close up enough to take... Oh, and Bucky has picked up a 3-second penalty. Mickey may take P2 and Zach may take a podium position. Let's see. We're actually going to drop this back now to the leader of the race. So Hazer will finish 2.5 seconds ahead of Mickey, potentially more, but Bucky will drop 3 seconds. That will take him to about 4.5 seconds right now. So Shadow didn't have that penalty, he may have had a chance to take Bucky, but I think Bucky will drop down to P4. So coming across the line now, Hazer takes the victory at Imola, but it will be Mickey P2. Zach will take P3 on the podium, Bucky and Shadow P4 and 5, and Lewis on the hard tyres will take P6. 23 laps he had to take those hards. Dan P7 from Stickman, Dumbest Basket, Slimy comes through into P10. Kelvin P11, and then at the back you've got the McLaren of Sargent. Coming around the final corner now and will take P12, so Hazer with the win in the McLaren. And it is a difficult race here at Imola, and it is victory then for Hazer. Victory for the McLaren team. The in-game driver of the day awarded to Dan. We will watch the podium celebrations then. Bucky right at the end, costing himself a podium with that penalty, unfortunately. Sadly for him, would have taken P2. just coming to the end of the podium celebrations, and it's Hazel with the victory. Mickey from Zach. Bucky with that penalty drops down to P4. Shadow also with a penalty, does not lose positions, stays P5. And Lewis doing remarkably well at the end, take P6. And you got Dan, Stickman, Dumbest Basket and Slimy all in the top 10. Kelvin and Sargent, the two remaining finishers in P11 and P12. So strong races team wise. I think, of course, McLaren P1 and P12. You got Red Bull P5, P7, Mercedes P8 and P11, AlphaTauri P6 and P10. So 4 teams had both their cars finishing, which amounts to 8 of the 12 drivers. So only the Alpine of Mickey, Ferrari of Zach, the Williams of Bucky and the Haas of, I think, was it Stickman? And they were the only ones not to have a teammate finishing the race. But anyways, that has been your Imola Grand Prix for Saturday night. And we will now be back for Monday night in Tier 1 at 8 o'clock. And it may be myself, but it may also be, I'm not certain who will be commentating that night. It might be Shudson or it might be myself. We will see on that one. Might be someone else, who knows. But we'll be back at 8 o'clock on Monday night. Thank you for watching and have a lovely night.